Yeah, so those of you who saw my promo for my holiday reviews likely noticed that I said I would review Road to the North Pole. I knew that I needed to review a Christmas-themed episode of Family Guy in December, and since I've reviewed the Brian and Stewie road trip episodes in the past, it felt like the right choice. And then I remembered this thing, that there was a Christmas episode connected to what still might be the most infamous moment in the history of Family Guy. And well, even though I did briefly touch on what I thought of that one specific episode that I'm not even sure is still on the web right now, I guess it's finally time to look at that one in detail, along with the follow-up episode that everyone with half a brain knew was coming. For the record, I've gone back over my schedule, and I think I can still review Road to the North Pole later this month. But I need to take care of this first. So here we go, people. The review of both Life of Brian and Christmas Guy. We start off with Brian and Stewie being chased and shot at by Native Americans. Wow, it's like they realized the one ethnic group they hadn't pissed off yet and decided to go whole hog on this one. So the setup here is that we're in a changed timeline because Stewie traveled back to colonial Virginia and gave the natives guns because he was trying to be nice to them. So now the natives have become the mass murderers and gentrifiers because they have access to guns, but they still use TPs and smoke signals.
And here it is, the #1 song for the 10,000th week in a row. Hiya, hiya, hiya.
Family Guy, the one place where you can find attempted comedy involving time travel that is both offensive and makes no damn sense whatsoever. And yes, the similarities to this and Road to the Multiverse are so blatantly right in your face, along with the references back to Road to Germany. We get more racial jokes around Stewie finding out his return pod was damaged, so he has to hunt down the Griffins in this world in hopes that this Stewie made his own time machine. Because in Seth MacFarlane's world, you can cleanse an ethnic group in another reality, but the new dominant race will just create the same families from theirs. So yeah, we get bad jokes about a native Indian Griffin family, and Stewie finds there's a time machine here, only now it's made of wood because ha ha, laugh damn you. They return to Old Virginia to reclaim the guns, and I'm just surprised Seth didn't take this moment to make a joke about all the historical inaccuracies in Pocahontas. Why would he skip on another prime chance to insult Disney? They return home to find the timeline fixed, and the next thing we know, Stewie is dismantling the time machine, to the point where he crushes the dismantled parts in the junkyard. It's almost like they're trying to make us really believe that something really bad is about to happen that will be unable to be fixed or something. Oh, and there was a cutaway gag to how Stewie did travel ahead to Christmas to get the latest toy for himself, which I'm sure has no importance whatsoever. It's at the dump that they steal from the first Star Wars parody episode as Brian decides to take home a street hockey goal he finds there. So they didn't have the goal, but they did have the skates and sticks and other equipment to play the game. Huh. Anyway, yeah, we know what happens next. Brian gets run over in the street, with the animators making sure it looks as gory as possible. And after that, we immediately get this.
That guy sucked.
A little louder, Seth. I don't think Jupiter heard your jab at all of Brian's haters. Meanwhile, I'm just wondering why the hell this guy was just speeding out of control down this residential street to the point where he couldn't see Brian. And there was one other question that was running through my mind as I was watching this for the review, especially with how it started. Did Fox and Family Guy promote that Brian would be killed off, or was this a trap episode like Not All Dogs Go to Heaven, where they promoted it as something else and then gave us this swerve? I researched what I could, and believe me, that wasn't easy when the episode's title was a ripoff of a Monty Python sketch. much. From what I can find, the creators did tease at Comic-Con in July of that year that one member of the Griffin family would die, and they did promote that this episode would be the one where we would find out who. I've heard differing claims on whether or not the reveal was leaked, but even if it wasn't, I don't think anyone was that surprised as to who was marked for death. So yeah, this shocker wasn't exactly buried, but at the same time, this episode definitely was a ratings trap, as we'll eventually see. So after that long, excessively dramatic scene in the vet's office that tries everything to make us actually want to feel sorry for this cartoon character that did everything to make us not like him for about 8 years, Stewie tries to rebuild the time machine, but can't because the guy he needs to get an important part from has disappeared in another bad joke that references the Muhammad drawing controversy. It's just the fact that they're really slamming home the fact that they had to destroy the time machine and it's gone forever in order to try to make us believe that Brian absolutely cannot be brought back to life in any way. Yes, I know that the time machine was used before in at least one other episode, but that's what kind of makes it even more frustrating to it. You could have done something like have Stewie not remember his time machine until later, only to find it broken down, and then spend the next few episodes having him desperately trying to make it work again. But no, you want to make it appear clear there is no way Stewie can go back in time to stop this. You pretty much eliminated any chance of any other time travel stories in future episodes just to try and send the message that what happened to Brian was absolutely permanent, and do you know how many people with functioning brain power really believed that? We get the funeral that just keeps trying to hit us more and more in the feels and fails miserably. And then comes the final scene where they get another dog, and not only do they manage to find another talking dog, but this one's a Guido. Was he one of Susan and Mary Test's failed experiments? But yeah, everyone who watched this episode had to know this wasn't going to last. The only question was how long would it take for them to retcon it? All of 2 episodes! That's how long! They give us one more episode with the Griffins and their new dog going so far as to shove him into the title sequence, and I'm not gonna bother with that episode before we get right to the Christmas guy. This episode opens with a gag insulting Home Alone that somehow still isn't as bad as the made-for-TV sequels. The Griffins are all looking forward to the annual Christmas carnival at the Quahog Mall, but when they get there, there's no carnival. New Dog, and no, I'm not bothering to remember what his name was because we all know he's not sticking around, finds out that Lois's dad was behind the carnival's cancellation, and when Peter confronts Mr. Pewterschmidt about it, he says it's because he hates Christmas. So why did he let the carnival go on all the other years? Alright, because Family Guy didn't need a cheap excuse to disguise a Christmas episode all those other years. And no, I know even less about how this episode was promoted, so I have no idea if they even hinted at how it would end, but it does come off more like a swerve episode, so I definitely would not be surprised if Peter teaches Carter to like Christmas thing was all a smokescreen. So now the first half of this episode is shoehorning in a fake plot about Peter trying to get his father-in-law to like Christmas, and it works about as well as you would expect it to work on Family Guy. A lot of the scenes are really disturbing, like when Peter forces Carter to drink eggnog. I really wouldn't be surprised if the creators got a lot of emails from psychologists after this one. And then what finally works is suggesting that everyone thinks Carter is Jewish, because why the hell not? The carnival is back on, but Stewie is still all bummed out.
You know what I want for Christmas? I want my friend back.
Your friend?
Yes, my best friend. My dog, Brian. He's dead. It's our first Christmas without him, and no one's even mentioned his name. I don't care about this stupid carnival or Christmas. I don't care about anything except Brian. I want Brian!
You can see where this is going from 1,000 miles away like you were on a highway in Kansas. New Dog tries a bad impersonation of Brian and then offers to take Stewie to the toy store where he discovers... I would make a gag about it being so obvious where this was going, but I did watch these episodes back to back on Netflix, so it is possible that people who watched this in its original run didn't remember that one throwaway time travel gag from Life of Brian. But yeah, that's where this is going. Stewie sees his past self having arrived in the future and realizes he can use this Stewie's return pod to go back and save Brian. One only slightly creepy scene where New Dog distracts him by flattering him about being a model, and Stewie gets the device, and well, you can guess.
Brian, look out! What the hell?
You're alive, my friend!
What? Of course I'm alive. What the hell's going on here?
Brian, that car killed you. And when it did, a little part of me died as well.
And because Stewie has now changed his family's history, this Stewie fades from existence. I was also gonna make a joke about time paradoxes and time travel hurting on my brain, but really that question can arise in every time travel story. And the episode ends on Christmas Day, where Brian gives Stewie this present to show his appreciation for saving his life in one final attempt to make us try and believe this character still has a good side to him. God damn it, where is that barf bucket? Now, to be honest, the story of Christmas Guy doesn't really bother me that much. Just the idea that those making Family Guy thought we actually wouldn't know it was coming. That Brian's death wasn't as blatantly temporary as the death of a comic book superhero. But then came what happened immediately after this episode aired. Seth MacFarlane was amazingly mum on the subject of these episodes, not talking at all on social media or other outlets until after Christmas Guy aired, which I can kind of understand. But afterward, he went on Twitter and teased everyone who supposedly thought the death was permanent, and then he said the whole thing was to teach a warm, fuzzy holiday lesson: never take those you love for granted, for they can be gone in a flash. Yeah, and then be brought back just as quickly in a flash. Seth, you are a goddamn moron who insults people's intelligence every single day. If this was actually your intent, guess what? You completely blew it by reviving Brian 2 episodes later! South Park did this better when they killed Kenny off at the end of season 5, because at least there they waited a full year to bring him back to give the audience at least more of an impression that he would stay dead. And that was with a character they killed in every episode before that! Oh, and then Seth followed it up with this interview in which he said, "Would I do it again? No, we already did it. But who knows in season 25? If Family Guy gets a 25th season, I will lose faith in humanity for the 123rd time in my life. But it's Fox, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Ugh, I've still got one more Family Guy Christmas episode to review this month, so next time we get back to this show, yep, we're going to the North Pole, everyone.